Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share with you how to prepare for a C-section. This is how I am personally preparing for my C-section. These are the advice, the tips, the instructions I was given from my OB team and from my mother-baby navigator at the hospital. This video is not meant to be a replacement for any instructions your doctor is going to give you or your nurse is going to give you. This is just how personally I am preparing for my C-section. This is my second C-section, third baby. I'm currently, I'll show you, currently 38 weeks, 4 days. My C-section is in just a few days. I'll link everything that I can down in the description box below. We're gonna start with like the tangible, actual instructions that I was given to prepare for my C-section. The very first thing we're gonna talk about is the body wash / antiseptic skin cleanser. This was something that the coordinator at the hospital told me that I had to do. This was not something that I did with my first C-section, because although my first C-section was a scheduled C-section, I ended up going into labor earlier than my scheduled C-section, and so I never got to this point. But being that I am on track for my scheduled C-section this go around, I was able to actually talk to the hospital coordinator, and she was able to let me know that this was something that they required that I do. They required that I get this antiseptic skin cleanser. This is the brand Hibiclens. The most important thing is that it had this ingredient in it called chlorhexidine gluconate. I am no doctor, obviously, so here's the one that I got. My mom actually ran out to CVS and grabbed these for me. So we have this one. This is one antiseptic skin cleanser, and then this is the CVS Health brand. Same exact thing, antiseptic skin cleanser with that chlorhexidine gluconate ingredient in it. The coordinator at the hospital had told me that I need to use this 3 times before surgery day. So 2 days before surgery day, use it in my, like during my evening shower, and then the next day take a morning shower, use it again, and then in the nighttime, the night before my C-section, take a shower and use it for the 3rd time. So you want to use this on the area where you're having your C-section, on your belly, just to totally cleanse, make sure that there's no bad bacteria. And then she told me afterwards to use a towel to pat dry that area, and then to put that towel in the laundry, not to use that towel again. So with each shower to use a brand new towel, and then not to use any sort of lotions or potions or anything after using this. So no lotion, use this in the shower. When you get out, use a very clean towel, put that in the laundry, and then you are good to go. My mom just got me these two because she wasn't sure which one to get. You don't need to get both, but I will link a few options down below. And yeah, it says helps reduce bacteria that could potentially cause disease, which is not good. So we want to make sure that we are nice and clean. So that's the body wash. And then the next thing she told me that I had to do, that I'm going to do, is pre-op blood work. So apparently there's some blood work that you need to get done pre-op for a C-section. And again, because my first C-section was, I guess it was considered an emergency C-section because I went into labor naturally and I was due for a C-section. It wasn't an emergency situation, but because it was spontaneous, I didn't end up doing the pre-op blood work. So I'm going for pre-op blood work tomorrow. And she said it's super simple, super easy. You just go, get the blood work done, very straightforward, and then that's it. Should take like no longer than 15 minutes, which is really cool. I keep referring to this hospital coordinator. This was another tip that I put on my list. I wrote, talk to hospital coordinator / mother baby navigator to get all your instructions, dates, and times correct. So hopefully someone from the hospital or from your OB's office will contact you a week before, a few days before your scheduled C-section, and they will give you the rundown, the lowdown on everything you need to know and all of the like very tangible instructions and advice that they recommend for your cesarean section, which I always find super helpful. Huge tip, if your coordinator doesn't mention, ask that they email you everything that they're saying. I think most times they will, but you know, I found it really comforting. She said on the phone, she was like, I'm going to give you all this information that you need to know. Meanwhile, I'm on the other end, like I can't even remember what I did 2 seconds ago, plus I'm trying to take care of my toddler. And then she immediately was like, and I'm going to email you everything that I'm saying. And I was like, that's amazing. That's so fantastic. So if they don't say that to you, make sure that you just mention like, hey, can you just email me all this information? And that shouldn't be a problem. So talk to that person, because that person, again, like either the hospital coordinator, the mother baby navigator, someone on that team can give you all of the information. She also was like giving me information about like, oh, like you can leave your bags in the car, and after you have the C-section, then your partner can run down to the car, like once you're moving into the postpartum recovery room, then they can go get your bags, and like just like little things like that where I was like, oh, okay. And you know, she sort of talked me through the morning of calling maybe like a half hour before I'm due to leave the house to make sure that like everything's running on time, and then, you know, where to park and checking in at security, and you know, so just like giving you the rundown. And I'm a type A person, like I love just like knowing what's gonna happen, all the instructions, like lay it all out for me. And she did that, and so that made me feel really good. And I think especially with something scary and big like a C-section, like it's a major abdominal surgery, and like, oh my gosh, not just any surgery, like you're getting a baby out of it, like that's huge. It's nice to just have all of that laid out. So definitely look for a coordinator or navigator or someone who can give you all that information. The next little bit of how to prepare for a C-section, or the bit of information that she gave me, is a little TMI, but that is don't shave down there. That's something that I would never think of, or it just wouldn't come up otherwise, I guess. Anyway, she said don't shave down there. Don't shave. They will do it for you in the hospital. I'm sure it has to do with like hygiene and where they're cutting, and you know, like all of that's happening in the same area. They just want to make sure that all of that is staying as clean and sterile as possible. They probably also don't want you to nick yourself, because they don't want to introduce any bacteria in that area that doesn't need to be. And so she said, don't shave, we will shave for you. So there you go. I wrote buy a binder ? Here's a question that you can ask your doctor or your team or whoever calls you. Does your hospital provide a post C-section belly binder? This was something that I bought for my first C-section from Amazon, but ended up never using. My hospital provided me with, I think, a couple binders, and so this time around I didn't buy one. I'm going to a different hospital, so maybe I should take my own advice and ask. But I assume that post C-section, what, 9.9999999 times out of 10, they're putting a binder on you after the C-section. It's how your belly and your abs and everything are gonna stay nice and tight and heal. And I preferred the hospital binder to the binder that I had bought off Amazon. I still have it. I still have all the binders from my last C-section. But that's a good question to ask. Like, do I need to buy my own binder? Do I, you know, are you gonna provide me with a binder? Etc. So a binder, again, is just a big band, a big Velcro band that they put around your midsection to keep everything nice and tight, and that feels really nice post C-section, especially in your core and your abs. Last little tidbit that she had given me that I wanted to mention of how I'm preparing for my C-section is not to eat after midnight the night before your surgery. Don't know, I'm not a doctor, surprise, surprise, but they don't want food in your belly close to your C-section. So they usually advise not to eat after midnight the night before your C-section. If that gives you anxiety like it gives me, because I'm always hungry, especially pregnant, like always hungry, then I don't know, I guess eat a big dinner. That's what I'm gonna do. But I'm just gonna like treat it as a normal night, try not to get worked up about it. And then usually what they do post C-section is after you have your C-section, they will ask you a million times, and it's so embarrassing. It was embarrassing for me, maybe not for some people, but they will ask you a million times if you've passed gas. Once you pass gas, post C-section, then you can start to eat food. So it's a long time without eating, which is why I would just recommend maybe a bigger dinner, or eating maybe a tiny bit later in the evening. I usually eat pretty early, like 6:37. Maybe the night before I'll have a little extra something around 8 or 8:30, because that's a lot of time. But yeah, don't eat after midnight. Now let's just chat some mental stuff really quick to get you mentally prepared for your C-section, because I know, especially if it's your first C-section, it can be a scary and overwhelming experience. I mean, even if it's not your first C-section, it can be a scary and overwhelming experience. I wrote, get yourself in a good mental space by finishing anything up at home that you want to finish. So just getting everything prepared, ready for baby, ideally like a day before your C-section. So like the day before your C-section, you can just relax and chill. I wrote, have your birth plan ready. So for C-sections, you can still have a birth plan. There are still things that you can specify and bring to the hospital, like, you know, post like breastfeeding versus formula feeding, when you want your baby to receive a bath, all that type of stuff. So, I think again, like that will just help ease your mind a little bit. And yeah, just like have some sort of mantra or prayer or something in mind that you can sort of lean on while you're having your C-section. I promise everything will be great and wonderful, and like you get the absolute best thing out of it, which is your little tiny newborn. So friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If there's anything that I left out, if you've had a C-section before and there's anything I missed, definitely leave it down in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye friends.